Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing very well. So I'm getting stuck into the refurb on the 94 Nissan Sil80. It's hard dirty work, but it's got to be done. First things that we've done is I've stripped off the fuel lines and the main brake line. It's a bit, obviously that's leaking, so I'm going to grab a pot. It was a bit of a pain in the butt because everything's gone rusty underneath and basically all of the bolts just snapped. So I've been having to cut things and stuff like that. It's a real pain in the jacks. And the reason I've had to change them is, you know, if you own a classic car, you've got to be responsible, obviously. And you see things like that. It's gone rusty there, and there's no way of saving that. That's pretty much, you know, working its way through. Other areas, pretty much working its way through. It's not a safety drive like that. So that's the fuel lines. My idea is I'm going to buy some equivalent caliber copper line, such a thing exists, form it to match these, and then fit it back to the car. It spans basically all the way to the engine, all the way, and that is literally where it touches the fuel tank. So back to that. Brake line, this is the main brake line that goes from front to back under the car. This is the one that's going to get rusty. And it's just in a few bits like that, you see. Again, brake lines, absolutely essential that they're top condition. If you're going to own an old car, and that might be repairable, but are you going to take the chance for, you know, a few hours labour and almost no cost? No, not really. So that's the brake line. So let's go and have a look at the car. So like just about every English car, this looks quite nice from the top, but when you go underneath it, they're all rusty as hell. One day I'm going to move to Arizona, I swear, I not have this problem. So this is the kind of thing we're looking at. I'm not going to get a very good view here, I'm aware. Let's see what we can... This is the kind of thing that we're talking about. I hope you can see. Just let that come into focus. Some of the kind of front lower bulkhead on the offside. You can see that's all got nasty. There it is. It's gone through in a few places. You can see that is the cockpit of the car there. That is where my feet would be. It's rusted all the way through. So it's going to need... Oh, it's coming off. All that's going to need to come off and re-welding, so not looking forward to that. You can get access to it, obviously, because the brake lines are off and the fuel lines are off. Area back here. I've been working on for a couple of days whenever I've not been making videos. You can see what I've done is ground this off. I tried wire brushing. Wire brushing didn't work. The rust wasn't just surface rust. It had started eating its way through in some places. So I had to get the angle grinder out and just grind all this off, which is not very pretty, but needed doing. So around here, we'll ground all this off, and I've got, you see, wherever you see a dark patch, that's where I've gone through the metal. Unfortunately, luckily, I don't think this is going to be considered a structural bit of metal, so I'm not too worried about it. Around here on the sill, I've had to grind all that off down there, and you can see dark patches where I've gone through. Down on the, you see down these, on the ribs, longitudinal ribs, round all that off, on the sides and on the thing. Again, we've gone pretty close to going through in some places, but that's okay. Now, I'd be tempted to just slap a load of hammerite on that, but the problem is, this is England, and the rules are a bit different in England, because anytime England is really moist, the air moisture is really high, and so this is already, I don't know, you probably can't see it in the camera, but after a day or so this has already started rusting up again, even though this is in a completely dry room, and that's because the moisture in the air is just so bad around here. So what we're doing, and I'm going to try and do, instead of just painting on this like I would usually do, and here's an example. I did this last summer, last time I had the car, so this was well, years ago now, actually, about 3 years ago. I stripped all this back to bare metal, everywhere you're looking around here, so it was completely bare metal, painted it, just with some hammerite, and you can see the rust's already just coming back out, because by the process of stripping it back down, air got in, and that air in England has just got moisture in it, and between the paint and the metal there's some moisture there, and it's just all rusted up again. So we're going to try a different approach this time. I don't know if it's going to work. Let me know your thoughts. I don't know, but we need to be proactive, and let's see if we can find it. Here it is. This little jazz monkey. I don't really like it, but this one is mine. I've gone for aqua steel, and I don't know if you can read it. This is called a rust converter. Now, this is a very odd thing. It's actually made of plants, basically. I can't remember exactly what it is. And you put it on rust, and it converts rust to a non, whatever it isn't, basically, a stable material that will no longer rust any further. It's not ideal, but for the reasons that I said, if I just go and hammer it on top of that metal, I guarantee some moisture is in the air, and it will just go again in a couple of years. So, so what we're going to try is clean up the metal, degrease it, try some of this. You're not really supposed to use it on metal that isn't rusty, and that's not particularly rusty what I showed you. Obviously, I've just ground it all down, but I'm going to try it anyway. And it doubles up apparently on eBay where I bought it as a primer. So hopefully, as well as being a reactive chemical, it's going to be a primer as well. So I'm going to apply some now and stand by. I started painting with the stuff, and you can see it's a bit weird. Very weird, very thin and watery, but that's what it is. Started work over the other side as well. Some bits around there. Let's crack on and move to the front. Welcome back, everyone. It's probably just been a few seconds on the video, but it's been an extra 3 or 4 weeks now. All month, basically. Every Sunday I've been working on it. Let's show you the progress so far. Nothing. It's been really hard work. I've almost given up several times, but we're getting there. So, right. So this side, this quarter here is not quite finished, but I've stripped it all down, done the rust treatment, and then painted it all up. I think you see it looks more like a car now, which is nice. The other quarter is the same. Other front quarter was actually a real mare. It was really rusty up that front there. I've stripped it, treated it and painted it, but it's coming back there, starting to bubble through the paint already after a week. So I didn't get rid of enough, obviously. And then today, we're doing this quarter, which is probably the worst. Just been stripping all the way down here. This is all bare metal now. I've had to take quite a lot of metal off, and it's just about gone through in some places. Down here, all down here, all down here. That's pretty much. The problem is not the ability to do it or the tools. The problem is doing it on your back with just like 3 inches clearance between your face and it. It's just impossible, especially with my stupid body. So that's why I've nearly given up several times. Through here, front firewall. So I'm going to get a patch, put it over here. So that's just going through into the car, obviously now. That's where your feet go. Here, it's just sort of about saved this metal, sort of ish. It's almost gone all the way through, but not quite. So I may have to patch this whole area here. I haven't fully decided yet exactly how I'm going to tackle it. So we are. So I'm going to go and get a new coat of rust preventer on it. Stand by. Hello, valued viewers. So still cracking on with the floor. It's been 4 or 5 weeks now. I can't remember. A bit worn out, but we're getting there slowly. Patching now. So we've got this hole here, as you can see in the floor. So I cut a cardboard template out of this delicious duck leg dinner that's made, which is very nice. So we're going to put them in that. I'm going to slightly modify how this kind of structure bit works, but I think it's going to be close enough. Something like that that's going to be. And what we'll do now is I think I'll go and convert this into a steel plate, come back, kind of draw around the steel plate, cut this out to match the steel plate, and then we'll try welding it in. Stand by. So I did buy a piece of decent steel for this, but in typical scrap fashion I've lost it. So I'm going to cut my old toolbox up, and we're going to use patches from the old toolbox to use on the bottom of the car. You can see I've sellotaped it down there. We're going to cut an exact template. Stand by. Pretty much an exact replica of that. What we've got to do now is take that bit of steel, go and bend it into the car, and then cut around it in the car, and then we'll slot it in and weld it. The only slightly problem here is that is a lot smaller gauge than I wanted. Welding, as you probably know, welding thin steel like this is a bloody nightmare. It's not actually very strong, however it's not a very big patch, so it doesn't really matter. So let's go and see how that works out. Yeah, that's the best I can do with my measly shaping skills. So I'm going to try starting to weld that now, fingers crossed, see what happens. Okay, so I fed it as best I can. I didn't do a very good job, as you can see. I'm many years out of practice, and what I've done is just tiny little tag spot welds. It's really difficult to do because the steel is such thin gauge. It's a bit naughty to use, it's almost foil, but I think it's going to be okay. So what I'm going to do now is use little slithers as infills, and I'm going to go and try and ribbon weld all the way around and clean up and report back. Ta-da! Now I'm aware that's not the prettiest weld in the world, but with my complete inexperience, and it's so hard to get to that was, I'm actually pretty happy with that. I think that's going to be strong enough. So next we're going to tidy it up, grease it, prime it, paint it, and we'll report back. Thank you. Okay, so we're done now. You see, got that, and another small patch over there on the passenger side and underneath. Looks like a brand new car. Oh, lovely paint. Not sure if that's focusing or not. Is that focusing? Probably not. All new paint, all new paint, all new paint. All de-rusted and painted. From there, all along there. It's all nice and shiny. So I've used the undercoat of a rust converter / primer. And then gone over that with just some basic metal hammerite. It goes all the way down that chassis rail. All the way up the chassis rail. Put it down there. Don't know if there's any light down here. All down here, this is all new. It's all new. It's all new. All new. Lovely and shiny and nice. And probably won't have any light on the other side, but basically it's the same on the other side of the car now. So it's taken, I don't know, about 5 days, 6 hours a day. It's about 30 hours that's done so far. So that was the floor pan. So from there, basically, about there to about there, that's what we've done in that project. So our floor pan. The rear, I did have a plan to do the rear as well. So from there underneath all the way to the back. Problem is, it's going to take. I'm going to have to take off the whole rear axle, diff, the subframe. All that's got to come off to get access to it. Fuel tank's got to come off. And so that is probably going to wait until another project before I tackle that. Probably not this year. The floor plan's done, the welding's done. That's the main thing that we've done. That's that done. We'll just monitor it and see how long it holds. Fingers crossed. The next on the agenda is we're going to do the wheel arches. Basically the same thing. Going to refurb them as best we can. Probably start with the rears, then go with the front. Then we're going to do the front turrets as well, and then doors need doing, maybe the fuel tank, we'll see. So I'll report back when we start the next session.